Welcome back, folks. So we are looking at this topic of Karma Yoga. We have been talking about it for the past two sessions. Last sessions, last week I was not available, so we skipped last week. And this week too, uh, there is a lot to talk about Karma Yoga, but there's just one piece that I will cover. I don't know how long it will take. It might take this whole session, and then we'll move on to the rest of the Bhagwad Gita. Now, we have said before that one of the chief things that Bhagavad Gita discusses or brings to mankind is this karma yoga, and that is why we have been spending time on this, and we are going to spend some time today also. So this is there is a little bit of background and then some demystifying of the science behind karma yoga. We saw that the vrittis in 4 or 5 sessions ago, how vrittis are created. Uh, Let me stop sharing for a minute, then I can start sharing again. We saw that the vrittis are uh, riding on consciousness. There are different kinds of vrittis. Every 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 thought that comes to mind. So every thought, every experience that we encounter forms of vritti on the mind. And the target that we want to get to is to be able to recognize the nature of this consciousness, which is covered by vrittis. This is, I'm making it, I'm simplifying it extremely, but this is the main message of Vedanta, which is the removal of ignorance. So we saw the agent of action, the karta, who performs these actions, and then he gets attached to these actions and to the results of these actions. And there are a couple of things we saw in this famous and important verse, karmanye vadhikaraste. Let me share my screen. Okay. Karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturбhu ma te sangosto karmani. We went over this. Just as a quick recap, since it's been a little while. Karaman, this is what Sanskrit is that it brings words together and they form a new word. So in American English, when we in if I want to say I don't know, so there are 3 words here. I don't know. But when we say it out here, we say I don't know. Even we spell it like that. We spell it as I-D-O-N-N-O, like it's just one word. So we have to take that word. And then for somebody who is new to the United States, he may not get what is being said. So we have to take this word and then break it apart, that this is made up of 3 words. I, don't, and no. That's right. That's how it's, and that's exactly what is happening here as well. That there are these words that are brought together and they form a new word and becomes difficult to pronounce too. And then when you look at the word, sometimes the problems are that how and where do you break, and then depending on where you break, it might sometimes mean something different. Anyway, we are not getting into the Sanskrit part of things, but just to explain this. So this karaman eva. So this is like 2 words that have come together. Karmana and eva. So they come together. Karmanyev adhikaraste. So there are actually 4 words that make up this one word. So the thing that we saw is that we can perform actions, but we don't have control or ownership. Ownership is kind of a translation of the word adhikara, but it's more like we don't know how the result of an action will turn out to be. We gather as much intelligence about the action and we expect it to go a certain way, and many times it goes that way. There's repeatability, and sometimes it doesn't go. So what we are going to go over today, when I say the demystifying of this karma yoga, it is a notion of separating the karta from the rest of the environment that he operates in. And this is a very crucial, um, it's a crucial principle that underlines karma yoga. So when I let me stop, and I'm going to take a couple of examples, and then we'll see how it might help us to understand where this is coming from. So I'm going to stop the screen share, and I'm going to start. Last time we experimented with this, I think it turned out to be well. So this is I'm sharing the whiteboard. So how do we understand this notion of karta from and the environment, or the body that this karta operates in? So for that, there is a very good analogy. Then that is, um, let me stop sharing for a minute. And that is that in India, there is this concept of a private limited company. In the United States, there's something called as an LLC that most people know. It's called as a limited liability company. And there's versions of that, and it could be in India, it could be a private limited or a public limited company. So what is it that why are we talking about, or why am I bringing this topic up here? So the idea behind this concept is very close to how Vedanta looks at consciousness and this body in which it is supposed to reside in. The idea behind an LLC, a private limited company, is there is a distancing. So you as a owner of a company, so let's say you are the only one. This is a company, and this is where I will use my whiteboard. Let's see this. Okay. So let me pick a color. And so this is your limited liability company or a private limited company. And this company does business, it sells things, it makes money. And now you are an entity here. So let's pick something here. So this is you. So the relationship between this company and you in a LLC or a private limited company is that you introduce a distance between the company and you. So what does that mean? That the belongings that you have, the assets that you own. So you have got assets here. I don't know how easy it is to, maybe is there a triangle here? Well, there's some other shape here. Let me use that. So this is your asset. This is some asset that you have got, And then this is an asset that the company has got. So this is an asset for the company. Now, the arrangement, the structure of this concept is such that if one were to, if something were to happen to the company, then let me change this color, some different color. So this asset that is there, that belongs to the company, an outsider can come, and if let's take a hypothetical case. It's God forbid that something like that should happen, but let's say for some reason the company has not performed well and there are creditors at the door. They come knocking at the door and they want to take some assets back. So when they come, they can use the assets that are belonging to the company, but not you. You are shielded because of this structure that you put around it. You are shielded. They cannot come. It is not possible for them to come and take your asset. It is not possible to do that. It's they cannot do this thing. Because that is how this is structured. So the mindset that is there, that you and the company, it looks like you are one, but there is a difference. If something happens to the company, it doesn't affect you. So you work in the company and you deliberately design it in such a way that you can reap the benefits of the company whenever you can, or however way you operate it. But there are things when it comes to your own personal things, your personal assets, they are different. So for somebody who is looking from the outside, this looks as if it's one thing. So for somebody looking from the outside, this looks as if it is one thing. So it looks one, but really it is not one. There are two things here. It's the company and there is you. It's two different things. So that is how the Vedantic principles that are there, the principles of Karma Yoga that are there, they introduce this difference between you and the body. So there is the body, mind, and intellect. There are different layers that make up this body. So when we work with the body, and there's this, if we can extend this analogy to something more closer to what we do in our day-to-day life, is if I rent a car, I rent this car. So we get this car for hire. Let me clear this up. So there is this, let me, I don't know how good I can draw this. It doesn't matter. Okay. I'm just going to draw. Okay, so there's this car. We rent a car. So this is, we go to a car rental place and then we get a car. And then we go and we use the car to, go to places. So we are driving this car. And you have got, we have got our own car. So when we are driving this rental car, our mindset is pretty clear. This car is not mine. It is rented. It is for hire. So if you were to boast about it, saying, my car has got so and so feature and can do this and that, you wouldn't be doing that for a rental car, because you know you have to go and return it back. You might, even if you brag about it to somebody, you will say, hopefully, most people will, that this, I rented this car and it has got these good features in it, and the guy also knows that it's not yours and you are going to return it. On the other hand, not on the other hand, one more thing that is there. Let's say it has got some advanced feature, this car that is there, that it is supposed to, I don't know. Um, these days they have got this auto driving thing. So let's say that there is a adaptive cruise control. So there's a radar. There's supposed to be a radar that can assist you in driving, or some parallel park, automated parallel, some kind of advanced software. And you get this rental car and you're driving and you figure out that it's not working. You might be troubled a little bit, but not too much, that you use it every day. And when you return the car, you may not even mention it. If it was if there was a flat tire, or if there was a scratch on the car, maybe you will have to mention it to the place from which you rent the car, that this happened, look here, this happened, there's a scratch, there's a dent. But this software feature that is there, it is possible there are things about the car you don't even know, because you rented it, it's not yours. On the other hand, your own car, you might be able to say, my car has this and this feature, and if there is a dent, if there's a scratch on the car, you are going to feel it more than if it was a rental car. You will still feel it in the rental car. So how does this analogy, what does this analogy have to do with karma yoga? So like that, like this rental car, that is, we know this car is not our car. Anything, and like the company example that we took, we know when we create an LLC, we know if something bad happens to the company, it's not going to hurt me. I am different from the company. For somebody looking, if this thing that we are showing here, if this we just went over this. So if this is the company here, for somebody who is looking from outside, it appears that it is one thing, but we know that there are two separate things. So as an individual, I know that I am pretty safe. If something happens to the company, it doesn't affect me. I know that. And in the case of a rental car, I know that I don't have it. It is not mine. I go and rent it. So you take these two concepts, and now let's turn our direction to karma yoga. So in karma yoga, the when and there are things in here which you need not completely buy into. You don't have to buy into all the concepts that Veda and Vedanta says, but there's a certain line after which it makes sense to believe in it, or to acknowledge it. So there is this notion of, there is, let me clear this out. So we have got this bunch of, karmas that are being done. Small karmas, big, all are being done, and these are the results of the karma. Say all these accumulate, and this accumulated, we take all this accumulation, and then it gives us a resultant. So all these karma phalas, they come together, and then that forms the next portion of our life. Now, like I said, you don't have to buy into everything, but some of it is very obvious that you we we have a goal in mind. We have a karma, and we work towards it, and so we get it or we don't get it, but we work towards it. So this is not that out of the way. It is not that irrational to conceive this happening, that there's karma and karma phala. What some people might find it challenging is this analogy is stretched beyond this birth. So what is being said is, so this is there's karmas that you do in your current life, and then there is karmas. If I put these green things as karmas from your past lives. So at the time of birth, all these are accumulated from this life, past life, the life before. They all come together, and really, yes, there's some more theory around this, that all this collection of karma is called as sanchit, and then you take a portion of that, and then you are born with that portion. So you need to you need to exhaust the the result of these actions. You have to exhaust them. So, and there are innumerable karmas that you have accumulated or we have accumulated over lives, and so you take a portion of that, that is called as prarabdha. It's a technical Vedantic concept. You don't have to know it, but basically you take that and the we get a body into which we are born. That is the idea. And like I said, you need not buy into that concept that all these karmas are being accumulated, and then whether it's true or not is a different matter, because there is no way to say that this is how it is or this is not how it is. There is no evidence for or against it, so it's up to anybody who wants to believe it or not, but there is no need to make any big deal out of it. Anyhow, I don't want to spend too much time on it. What I want to bring or focus our attention is that when this is karma yoga, it's nothing but a shift in attitude of looking at the day-to-day tasks that we perform. That is what it is at the bottom. At the end of the day, the bottom line is it's a significant shift in attitude. Just like this LLC and you are separate things. That is how. So here, the what we need to acknowledge or recognize is that with all these karmas, you come into this world and then you get this body. Now, this body is like this car. It is a body for hire. This body is like this rental car. It is hired. It is not ours. It is there for the time that you have rented it. After your work is done, after you have traveled from your source to your destination, you return that. And then maybe you stay for a while there, and then you take another car. This car is totally different from the car that you had previously. And the like this LLC company, this car or this company, if I were to shift this, so these two concepts, they kind of explain well what karma yoga is, the concept about it is. So when you are performing karmas in this body, you are completely clear that whatever happens to this body, the results that are produced for this body, they have an effect on the body. And when I say body, it means it could mean several layers. There is a distinction between you and this body and the vrittis. We went over this last time. So each vritti is different from you. It is not you. So the minute we are able to make this distinction in our perspective, Everything changes. Things that used to give so much of stress don't matter so much. You are not that worried. There is no fear of annihilation. You are not the company. The company is separate from you. If the company goes bankrupt, if the company has got problems, it gets dissolved. Somebody is sabotaging the company. It is not affecting you. You have got your own personal strength, attributes, and they are yours. Well, it's slightly when I'm using this word attributes, some purists can take objection to this, but from a understanding perspective, this is it is a good analogy. So the the attitude in which we do our daily business, it transforms dramatically. Once we get an idea of what is happening, you get an idea of the lay of the land. You have, if you are looking at one more quick example, because I don't want to stay on this I don't want to definitely stay on this after this session. So if let me do a freehand. So I've got this, I've got a GPS and I'm traveling on this map over here. So there is a road that goes like that. I'm going east. So this is how I'm going east. So I have to reach this destination. So I want to go to this point. Now, if I were to amplify this segment of the journey, if I were to look at this, I would get a wrong idea that I'm going in a different direction. It might appear as if I'm going in this direction. Well, sorry, not this way. That I am going in this direction. But when we get an idea of the lay of the land, we know that this is just a temporary thing. This maybe we have come across a hill, a steep hill. So in life, we encounter difficulties. So we say that, and it's not the end of the world because we know that our destination is somewhere else. What is the destination? That is very clear in Sankhya Yoga. We saw the most important verse, the Bhagwad Gita. It is moksha. Na sato vidyate bhava, na bhavo vidyate. We have seen that. So that is the target on all these other small things, especially these uh, the things that hurt the ego. They appear to be very big in nature, but they are not compared to the overall scheme of things. They are nothing. So I want to see if I want to quickly go back to uh, one of the slides that we had seen previously. And then now Karma Yoga will make a lot of sense, right? So we saw this. So this was the ego. You can see that there's a special vritti that is there. Then this ego, it performs actions on different parts of the world and it becomes attached to it. And therefore there is a continuity here and it there is a consciousness is covered by all these vrittis and it becomes difficult to get a sense of it. We went through all this. So what the yogis do is they still the vrittis they come around. This is extremely difficult, next to impossible task. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, they go in detail about how this is done, Nidhyasa and all that. But Krishna proposes this karma yoga where, if you can see, this ego has been reduced to just another vritti, and now it is possible that for the mind to be aware of the consciousness, even in this kind of situation, because the ego has been, we we cannot obliterate the ego per se, because as long as there is this consciousness of the body, there will be some flavor of ego that will be there. Even if you are a enlightened person, you have realized moksha, even if you have that, then you might have an ego of knowledge in that case. Nevertheless, karma yoga allows you, which is the strength, the reason why the thinkers, rishis, seers were attracted to karma yoga, because Sri Krishna provided a mechanism, a, a route for ordinary people to be able to pursue this this uh, goal of moksha. There's different ways in which this be, for us to be to able to recognize the consciousness on which all this is happening, and to dissociate ourselves from some of the things that we hold so dear to us. Karma yoga provides a very practical means. There are places later in the Bhagwad Gita that you will see this word being used. Okay, so I think this it's going to come up again and again. Okay, so this verse 47, is where Sri Krishna starts out with uh, this idea of karma yoga, what it is, and then he goes on for a while, and then in fact, the this is chapter 2 that we are looking at. Chapter 3 is the title of chapter 3 is Karma Yoga, but it starts out here, and then there's chapter 4 also deals with it, and then there's uh, some part of chapter 18, which is the last chapter in the Bhagwad Gita, that summarizes some of this. So the this topic concept of karma yoga is kind of dominating the teachings part of Bhagwad Gita. It works on this, so it is bound to be there for a while. It's bound to be a reference in other places. We saw in some of our previous sessions that this this journey towards moksha can be done in several ways. There was jnana yoga that we saw. There's karma yoga that we are seeing. There's bhakti yoga that is there in chapter 12. So we will, by the time we reach there, we'll see some of these concepts come up again. Okay, let us move to the next words. Yogasthat kur karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. We spent considerable amount of time on the concepts behind karma yoga. So now these verses, they should explain quite a lot, or they would make quite a lot of sense because of the things that we have gone through. Yoga sthat, so sthiti. So you later on in this chapter, you will find that Arjuna is asking questions about the kind of how does this enlightened person behave and this kind of thing. So to be established in something. Uh, Stha is related to that. Yoga stha is one who is established in yoga. So I keep forgetting this to highlight. So yoga stha. So one who is established in this yoga. Obviously, we are talking about karma yoga. So the context is there. Yoga sthat kuru karamani. So one who performs this, or one is supposed, being established in yoga, one should perform actions. Sangam, sangam tyaktva dhananjaya, yoga sthat kuru karamani. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. We saw in our in the previous in this verse, karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kalachana. So there is phala, the fruit of the action. We don't have control. So here he is saying that don't get attached to it, to this, the fruits of the action. To a certain extent, even karma itself, it's practical, a little bit difficult to do it like that, but it makes sense to say that due to the nature of this, the fruits of the action, it is advisable to be detached from karma and the fruits of its action. But it is it's easier said than done, probably not even possible. What happens is, or what one should be aware or should do is that, and I had said this a couple of sessions ago, is that the goal that we have in mind, it should be so lofty that these other goals, they shouldn't affect us that much. When you bring down this goal, then these lower goals, they affect our stability, our peace a lot more. If you are very focused on something in your life, and then this other distractions that come along the way, you don't even notice it because your eyes are set on some higher thing. So that kind of happens automatically. Okay. Siddhya siddhyo. So this is again one of those words that they sandhis, they have come together. Siddhya is success, and asiddhya is not successful. So he says, siddhya siddhya samo bhutva, to treat, look upon success and failure with treat them in a similar way. Look upon them with equality, equanimous. You you should not get. In fact, this exact thing has been said sometime later. You should not get all excited because um, something happened the way you thought it should happen or it worked. Nor should you get depressed and dejected because something did not take place the way you thought. That's what it, if I were to paraphrase this, siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. This kind of, there is a better word for this. It's just skipping my mind now. This kind of, you know, the treatment of karma in your life. If you have this vision of equality, that is the highest kind of yoga. So he's saying samatvam yoga. This is what is called as yoga. If you are able to do this, and it is a tricky sentence. It is I don't know if there's a good example for this in our day-to-day life, but I'll just make up something. Let's say that you need to pass your GRE in order to get into a particular class, class A, whatever. And now the so you want to pass your GRE, so you want to go to class A, and now it turns out that in order to pass the GRE, you need to be good in the topics or in the subjects that are taught in this class. Let me see if I can quickly draw this. I've got a few minutes. So let me just clear this thing. So we have got this step over here. Let's say that this is, I'm just calling it GRE, call it whatever you want. And then this is the next thing. So after you pass this, you go here. That is what. So you do this first, and then after that you do this. So you get the necessary skills required. Now, if it turns out that in order to pass this thing, you need this, right? If this is the case, now we have a problem. It is we have got a circular loop. So in order to do this, I have to do this. In order to do this, I need this. So that's kind of what is being said here. That that once you attain enlightenment, you look at everything with the same eye, with equality. And you're saying that that itself is the prerequisite in order to attain enlightenment, moksha. So it's it can be confusing, but what what is being what is being referred is what I was saying earlier is once your goal is so lofty in life. Let's say that you were you used to play some game as a kid. Cricket is very popular in India. You used to play cricket, and when you won the match, you were elated, and when you lost it, you were like, or it's not even you. It's you are watching it on television. India, some country A is playing with country B, and if your country wins, you got all excited. And now you have grown up, you have become an adult. This something going on at work, or you have got some other things to take care of, which are of high priority. And this same match that used to, the same game that you used to get so excited about as a young child. Now this same game is going on and you hardly pay attention to it. And then turns out that your country won. You'll say, okay, that's good. And supposing it turns out they lost, it doesn't affect you because now you have outgrown that state that you are in. These things that you are clamoring for in general in life. And then today, the things that are of so much significance to you, if the goal in life becomes very lofty, then it just doesn't seem to matter if you get them or not. There is a scientist who is trying to look at the Big Bang Theory, the first few microseconds when the bang took place, and he's immersed in equations. And then his grandson comes along, and this guy, he happens to solve some complicated equation, and he's thrilled. And then he tells his grandson, but there's nobody around, so he tells him, this child, he will say, okay, will it give me some chocolate, or will I get a cake, or something that is important to the child. The thinking that this child is going through and the scientist going through is a world apart. The things that the child feels elated about, the scientist will not even notice them. That these things exist. He will be like that. If at all he puts it. Okay, so we are over time. Thanks for listening, and we will continue with the next verse. Thanks. Bye.